on March 16th, and she opened up yesterday about her experience with the quarterback.
I got into massage therapy to heal people. To heal their minds and bodies. To bring peace to their souls. Deshaun Watson has robbed me of that. He took that away from me. He tainted a profession in which I take enormous pride. I suffer from panic attacks, anxiety, and depression. I am in counseling as a result of Deshaun Watson's actions. I hope he knows how much pain he's inflicted on me emotionally and physically. And I hope he knows how much pain he has inflicted on these other survivors. People say that I'm doing this just for money. That is false. I come forward now so that Deshaun Watson does not assault another woman.
Now, there was one other woman who came forward yesterday. She didn't speak personally to the courtroom. She had her lawyer read a letter that she had written. And also something else to note, Nike has just announced that it is suspending its endorsement deal with Watson amid all of these allegations. So, Stephen A., what's your reaction to the latest?
Well, it just gets worse and worse. It's at a point now where this can't go away. When you've got 22 cases or 22 allegations against you, that is something that just cannot be ignored. I think Nike is taking the appropriate steps because when you have these mountain of allegations levied by accusers in the direction of your client, then predictably so, these kind of actions are going to be taken by the corporations that you represent. And that's just that simple. We want to say that Deshaun Watson is innocent until proven guilty. That certainly needs to be said in the United States of America. It's also important to point out that, to my knowledge, none of these are criminal cases. All of these are civil. Correct me if I'm wrong there, Max, Charlie, but I believe all of them are civil. None of them.
He's been charged in any criminal case.
He has not been charged in any criminal case whatsoever. So that obviously raises a red flag, because if you've got these kind of allegations, this mountain of allegations against you, and not one single charge is a criminal charge, and the lawyer is already on the record talking about how they tried to negotiate a settlement, but Deshaun Watson refused it. I don't know if it was the lawyer or Deshaun Watson or both of them, but clearly it has been revealed publicly that they tried to reach a settlement and Deshaun Watson refused. And so we take all of those things into consideration. And again, you have to acknowledge it does not look good. You have to acknowledge it looks very, very bad. You have to acknowledge the fact that Nike and anybody else that Deshaun Watson endorses, if they were to drop their affiliation, their association with him, it's definitely apropos at this particular moment in time. How can you do business with a man that has 22 separate allegations of sexual misconduct in some variety levied against him? There's no way you can do business with that person from an advertising or a marketing perspective. The question is, what is the NFL going to do? Because the NFL has been conspicuously quiet in all of this. And even though, again, you're innocent until proven guilty, that has never stopped the NFL from acting before. If you sully or impugn the shield, that gives them cause to step in and say, okay, you might get your money, but we're going to put you on the commissioner's exempt list. Here's where it gets interesting before I hand this off to you, Max Kellerman. There is no evidence whatsoever that the lawyer, Mr. Busby, that represents a lot, if not all of these women, has colluded with the Houston Texans. I want to emphasize that there's no evidence whatsoever, even though there have been people that have thrown out those conspiracy theories. The attorney Busby categorically and emphatically denied such a thing. But in the same breath, there are two scenarios here that need to be thought about. Number one, if you're the Texans, you've been conspicuously quiet in all of this, number one. Number two, not only have you been conspicuously quiet, but this also works to your advantage, because what team could legitimately go out there and trade for Deshaun Watson at the time that this is all going down? The answer would be pretty much nobody. The flip side is that if Deshaun Watson is put on the commissioner's exempt list, where that works to his advantage is He doesn't want to play for the Texans anymore, according to him, but you still wanted to get paid. So you could be put on a commissioner's exempt list, still get paid, don't have to play for the Texans, while at the same time buying yourself additional time to prioritize getting these matters resolved. Because clearly playing football is going to be a very, very difficult thing for the Houston Texans or anybody, because Deshaun Watson cannot walk into a locker room right now and talk about football. Nobody will allow that. Any place he shows his face, the media is going to ask him about these allegations. And that's going to be all anybody wants to talk about. There's no way that he's going to get away with being inside of a locker room and not talking about these issues every single time he's in front of the media, which obviously would serve as a profound distraction to a football team.
There is a presumption of innocence in our country when you're accused of something. But that does not mean that you ask people to turn their brains off. And listening to Ashley Solis, if that's how you pronounce her name.
Yeah, that's right.
In that news conference, if she's lying, then, or not telling the truth, then she's in the wrong profession. She shouldn't be a masseuse, she should be an actress, because she seemed credible and believable to me. That's one woman that we've heard from publicly speaking it. There are 21 others, 22. And there's a tendency, I think, when there's someone as liked as Deshaun Watson, to give that person extra benefit of the doubt. Because when you hear, oh, Deshaun Watson is being charged, you don't want to believe it. First of all, you don't want to believe that something bad happened in the first place. And secondly, no, not Deshaun Watson. And then two and three, but we also are sensitive to the idea that the accuser is often not believed, and often turns out, in fact, to not just be an accuser, but a victim in fact. So we're sensitive to that. Well, okay, you don't want to disbelieve what's being said. At the same time, you presume innocence, and you hope that it's not true, Deshaun Watson. And then a second, and a third, and a 10th, and a 15th. 22. Even the strategy of bringing forth the 18 other masseuses who say, no, he did nothing untoward, his behavior was fine. I don't know exactly what that does. You'd think to demonstrate that Deshaun Watson, in a similar situation, has shown not to do criminal stuff or bad stuff. Okay, but then the point seems to be there are so many of them, 18, that contradict the other charge, that the more of them there are, the more it proves the point. Really? Because there are 22 who said something untoward did happen. And it seemed to me to be the tactic of a defense that doesn't have a lot to work with. Now, that's all kind of a speculation on my part. And he is presumed innocent or not guilty. And the burden of proof is not with Deshaun Watson. And he will have his chance to clear his name. Remember, early on, he said he's looking forward to the chance to clear his name. But it's to clear his name 22 times, and maybe more instances than that, but with 22 different women. I understand the steps that Nike took, and I would be lying if I said, from my point of view, it doesn't look bad and worse for Deshaun Watson, one of my favorite players, Stephen A., before all of this
one of
happened.
our
I'm
favorite
sure a lot
players.
of people felt that
Both
way.
of us.
Absolutely. But that can't cloud, neither that nor the presumption of innocence can cloud our judgment to the point where we turn our brains off. This does not mean he's guilty. But boy, to me it looks like he has a big hill to climb right now.
He has an enormous hill to climb. And guess what, Max? You know what? Because it's inexplicable, it's unfathomable to most of us that you need 22 different massage therapists and counting. I mean, damn. I don't know anybody that's done that. That's a bit odd. That's a bit odd. Let's say that. Having said all of that, here's the flip side to it. Even though there's 22 cases against him, before all of this came about, just a couple of months ago, Deshaun Watson was considered an individual to have an impeccable reputation. Character was his signature. I mean, not just his playing ability. Talk to anybody at Clemson. Talk to anybody who's known him. Talk to his contemporaries in the National Football League. On a collegiate level, everyone raved about his character. And so that doesn't mean he's innocent. Doesn't mean he's innocent. But what it does mean is that the presumption of innocence shouldn't be that far-fetched. In other words, okay, let's find out. Let's probe, let's investigate, let's see what the facts bear before we jump to any conclusions, because there's nothing in this man's history that says he would be guilty of such a thing. The flip side again to it is that, hey, 22 different massage